تشتغل في مجلة أنا عايزة أكتب يقول لك تكتبي so what's زي في النكتة الراجل قال لأبوه بدرس فلسفة يعني قال له شنو قال له يعني بتمرق شنو بتعمل شنو في النهاية so دي مشكلة في questions خليها في راسك لغاية ما أخلص so we need to think about that we talked about that so what do you do yeah we're gonna get to that and زوجي made a point قال لي لازم تخطي how much they pay to be honest so I do talk about that after I talk about the good things the job perks so in addition to reporting what's all around you and getting to do all of this stuff you have awesome new experiences and this is a picture from one of the reports that I did I had dinner في حاجة اسمها the blind cafe. So the blind cafe is what it sounds like. بتخش تتعشى في مطعم في الظلام ظلام يعني كده ما بتقدري تشوفي يدك. And so it was very challenging يعني just to be عميانة. I got to know what it felt like to be a blind person and we sat there for 2 hours trying to find the food. غطس يدي هيدا زيت oh my goodness and then and the waiters were blind people so for them عادي هم بيجوا يساعدونا إحنا to be able to find the food أو عشان نقعد ونلقى ترابيزتنا so that is just an awesome experience for me it taught me so much يعني it gave me يعني high appreciation for the community of people who are blind and it empowered them because now they have the upper hand right بقينا نحن الهانديكاب قاعدين ما عارفين الحاصل وهم عادي this is their territory so you get to have these experiences why because the blind cafe calls people to come and cover these things you get to meet some awesome people interviews رهيبة this woman is a blues legend in the San Francisco Bay Area. Her name is Sugar Pie DeSanto. And Sugar Pie she's 78 ولغاية حسي she was performing like 2-3 days ago. أمها فلبينية وأبوها African American and she has an amazing personal story of being a woman singer in the 1950s with 60s, women's rights, لمن جات and so I got to sit down with this woman and talk to her and ask her anything I wanted. So imagine that يعني just imagine being able to speak to people who have these incredible stories. بعدين this is one of the يعني most important parts of being in media. And this is, a lot of this is in public media. It's a public service also. So you are able to talk to people and bring their voices to the air, talk to people who nobody talks to. يعني, the commercial media wants its 5 minutes of, flashy stories. And don't really get to talk to somebody who's like homeless. This is a story that I did years ago called Haircuts for the Homeless. There was this woman بتحلق like هي بتاعت كوفير ففي بارك بتاع homeless في أوكلاند وكل جمعة بتمشي تحلق لهم شعرهم بس. That's it. She brings them into her chair and she gives them free haircuts. And so I went to the park. And honestly, the أول مرة أنا like to go and sit with a large group of homeless people, and I was a little, afraid what's going to happen because I know, sometimes they have mental issues and sometimes they're drunk and all of this stuff. So I went and I talked to them, قعدت معاهم, and they appreciated it. وتكلموا, they talked. I asked them, what does a haircut mean to you? فاتكلموا from the heart يعني بالنسبة لي واحد كان قال لي just this haircut makes me feel good today like just today and that's good that's a good thing وبعدين حكوا لي how they became homeless and برضو those stories we broadcast all of them these are people living around us in our communities والميديا ما بتجيهم. They don't care about them. But that's then your chance to give voice to those who don't have a voice. And go places that you've never gone. قبل تكلمت لكم عن المقابر. I had to go to a children's hospice. You know what a hospice is? It's where people go to die خلاص. يعني they're terminally ill, they have bad diseases وخلاص يعني أهلهم والدكاترة استمتلوا على إنهم حيتوفوا. And so they go to these facilities to live their final days. And I had to go to the one بتاع الأطفال. So this is Mike, and he is holding Jacob, who at this point he had 6 months to live, قالوا له. And so, يعني they're just doing some water therapy وحاجات just to make their last days pleasant. It was hard. Yeah, like this was one of the hardest places that I had to go. أنا عندي أطفال, حتى لو ما عندي أطفال, it's just أطفال بيموتوا. يعني what's worse in this world, right? فمشيت وزرت المحل وتكلمت مع الأطفال وتكلمت مع أهلهم, and surprisingly they were just very يعني اليقين اللي بيقولوا المفروض يكون عندنا وما عندنا. We're very هلوعين, aren't we? I found it there in that place. So you get to go to these places if you're a journalist and see how that affects you, يعني, right? And you get to bring Sudan to the audience. Whenever I go to Sudan, my editors ask me for a story, and like I said, they want the cultural stories. They don't want the political stories. They don't want the stories about war and poverty, and that's hard, yani, because that's what we're living, right? That's what Sudan is going through right now. So they always ask me, what else is there? And so, yani, some of the things, for example, I did was a story about a growing arts movement in Sudan. I was I think it was 3 years ago, I was pleasantly surprised to find that there was this new art movement that was really growing in Khartoum. I can't say Sudan. I'm always very careful about saying the difference between Khartoum and Sudan and the rest of the Sudan is very, very different. So, you know, I talked to the artists. My grandfather is Ibrahim al-Salahi, got to talk to him. And so it was a different kind of story coming out of Sudan, and they really appreciated that. Another thing is here, that's my mom holding a plate of ta'miyah. And so I did a story here nationally about the different types of falafel. Like very light story, but it really allowed me to just talk about Sudan on NPR National. And so we talked about the different types of ta'miyah, the Lebanese one and the Palestinian one and the Egyptian one and the history of it. إنه من زمن الفراعنة يعني فتحوا القبور بتاعت الفراعنة لقوا فيها التفل الكبكبة. What? Who knew that يعني, right? And also, I think for me it was very important. My NPR editor said, we're going to put the picture of your mom with the falafel, as they call it, on the front page of NPR. And we think this is one of the first times that we've seen a Sudanese woman with her colorful robe on the front page of a major news media outlet, and it doesn't have to do with poverty or war or conflict. It has to do with something pleasant. So that was something nice, and she liked that too. I also reported on mental health in Sudan, talked about partnerships happening between الشيوخ اللي بيعالجوا بالقرآن بيجوا يعملوا referrals to the psychologists. And the psychologists بيجوا يتعاملوا مع الناس اللي تعالجوا عند الشيوخ بتاعنا القرآن. So I did a report about that kind of relationship. And then most recently I did a story about Nubian music and the revival of the Nubian songs of return here in America by young Nubian artists. Masno al-Musiqi, you're going to hear from him in this conference, I think. Yeah. Sarah and the Nubatones, also out of New York. Rami Dawood, and all of these young Nubian American artists who are bringing these old songs of return, اسمهم songs of return, أغاني العودة, right? When Nubia was flooded, when the Aswan Dam was built, and then everybody had to leave and evacuate, and there were these songs that were full of shog and longing for this land that used to be there. And so I did a report, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. So Sudan, you can, in addition to your reporting, you can tell the people in your newsroom, you know, I want to do this about Sudan. I want to do this about Sudan. And they will be very accepting. They love it. They love it. And you might meet someone famous. That's President Jimmy Carter and I. He had a new book about women and the abuse of women in religious communities. And refreshingly, he wasn't just talking about Muslim communities. He was also talking about Christian fundamentalists and Jewish people and any religious community that has, where people are still abusing women. And so I sat down and talked to him. I had another one, I talked to Jermaine Jackson also. I know. I think that was the only time I was really starstruck because I got really close to Michael Jackson just through Jermaine. Oh, قال لي السلام عليكم, sister, I'm Muslim. I said, yes. The rumors were right. لكن كان يتكلم معاي على bringing clean water to Afghanistan because his wife is Afghaniya. But he also said he wants to do that for Sudan and African countries. Wherever there's a dirty water problem, he wants to bring clean water. And President Carter was very generous, with his time, and just a very sweet man. Al-Gurush. This is not going to be you. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So reporters, correspondents, and broadcast news analysts, their median salary is $36,000. Writers and the authors earn a median salary of 55,000, editors 51,000. But all of these people, this is their base salary, all of these people, including me, do freelancing. يعني أنا شغلي الأساسي مع إذاعتي في San Francisco, but all of this other work on NPR and BBC والسوداني, all this Sudanese reporting is all extra. So there's something called freelancing where you earn extra money. But بصراحة, journalism is the kind of job that has more non-monetary rewards than monetary rewards, unless you work for CNN. Okay, where to start? Where do I start? Khalas, I want to be a journalist. I don't care about the money. I'm doing it because I love it. What do I do? You can go to a journalism school at any of the universities. There are many around here that have good journalism programs, but you don't have to. أنا ما قريت journalism. أنا قريت قانون. But I went into these internships at my local radio station. They have these sometimes training programs and workshops. They say, تعال, we will train you. يعني في news gathering and all of this stuff. So look out for, like if WAMU has an internship, or what's the Pacifica station here? Alfia Democracy Now, شنو? Does anybody know? Nobody? Yeah, it's like, والله ما بتذكرها هنا كانت شنو. Yeah, okay, cool. So like that channel, they always want, ما بالنسبة لهم شغل مجان, it's good for them. They want volunteers وبيعلموك on the job. So that's the first step that you can take. If you're in college, get into the college paper. Write for the college paper, go on the college radio station, train there. عندك الحاجات جاهزة في جامعتك, do it. And just apply for any opportunities that you want, that you can. And if you don't know where to find them, talk to me after this presentation, and I'll be happy to connect with you. And I'll just leave you with some Sudanese that I know personally that are in major English media right now. And this is دل I'm sure جزء ما definitely دل ما كلهم and definitely طبعا عندنا عدد من السودانيين في Arabic media that we're very proud of as well. But this is just a sample. يعني نعمل باغر درست معنا في Unity and I think درستها كمان. So she's the Africa reporter correspondent for CNN. Ismail Kushkush writes for the New York Times from Sudan. Here he's asking, I think, a question to UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. Faye Abul Qasim is a videographer with the Associated Press in Dubai. She studied at UC Berkeley, journalism, and she used to work with Al Jazeera, English, I think, yeah. Ooh, I bet you didn't know this guy. Who? Who knows this guy? Yeah? So Amin Al-Hassan, Amin da كأن كده وأنا I should stop saying أنا درستهم, right? He is a commentator, he's a sports commentator on ESPN. وأنا قريب ده حتى عرفت إنه أصلاً هو I saw him on TV. He's like, the Amin? So he's on ESPN. So for the guys who wanted to be sports commentators, basketball, this guy loves basketball and he's a great writer. والحاجتين ديل مع بعض خلتهم يبقوا this commentator on ESPN. And of course, الأستاذة الكبيرة زينب بدوي on the BBC. She's been there for decades. She's very proud to say she's Sudanese. She's been to Sudan. She interviewed Umar al-Bashir. And you got to see that if you didn't see it. On this same thing, like Hard Talk is her program where بتزرزر المسؤولين. Very, very great journalist. And that's it. I missed many, I bet.
Very nice presentation. I'm very impressed. As a mother, and إحنا ما عندنا مانع أولادنا يمشوا الجورناليزم ولا أي محلة، لكن دارينهم to be the best at it. وأنت حاسة وريتينا إنه they can be the best at it. وهات صوف لأي زول يعني في البلد دي لأنه هو ما ود فلان ولا ود علان ولا لقى حاجة سهلة لأنه في زول سهل له، لكن شق طريقه زيك. فهات صوف يا هنا. Really, we are very proud of you.
Thank you.